I never used to believe the 24-hour store in my town had anything strange about it. It was just a quiet place on the edge of Route 18, the kind of stop where truck drivers grab coffee and teenagers buy snacks they shouldn't be eating at 2 a.m. I worked there part-time during college. My name is Jason, and this happened during my overnight shift rotation in late October. The shift started normal. Too normal. That's usually the first warning sign I ignored later. Around 11:30 p.m., my coworker Mark Delaney clocked out. He laughed while leaving, saying, "Nothing ever happens here, man. You'll just fight boredom and bad coffee." I remember thinking he was right. The store lights always buzz softly, especially near aisle 3, where the chips and canned food were stacked. Outside, the parking lot was empty, except for a single black sedan parked under the flickering streetlight. I didn't think much of it at the time. Around 1:10 a.m., a man came in. He looked mid-40s, wearing a gray hoodie and gloves, even though it wasn't cold. He didn't grab a basket. He just walked slowly through the aisles, not looking at products, just scanning, like he was counting something invisible. I greeted him. He didn't respond. That was the first strange moment. At 2:03 a.m., the store cameras started glitching. I checked the monitor behind the counter. The same man appeared in every aisle at once for a split second. Then the feed corrected itself. I blinked hard, thinking it was just a lag. Then the phone rang. No one ever calls the store at that hour. I answered. Only static came through. But beneath it, I swear I heard breathing. Slow. Controlled. Like someone standing too close to a microphone. When I hung up, I noticed something else. The black sedan outside was gone, but the parking lot lights were still flickering like something had just been there. At 2:37 a.m., I heard a knock on a glass door. Not a customer knock. It was too slow, too deliberate. The same man stood outside, except now he was smiling, but not at me, at the reflection behind me. I turned around instantly. Nothing was there. When I looked back, he was still smiling, but his head was tilted slightly differently, like it had been reset between blinks. My hand started shaking. That's when the store intercom turned on by itself. A voice came through it, but it wasn't clear words. It sounded like someone trying to speak while drowning. Then silence. Then one sentence broken and distorted. "Do not let him in." The man outside lifted his hand, slowly pointing directly at me. And I realized something I still can't explain properly. He wasn't looking at me through the glass. He was looking at me through the camera behind me. And he knew I had just noticed. I locked the front door immediately, even though something in my head kept telling me it wouldn't matter. The man outside didn't move for a while. Just stood there under the flickering light, like he was waiting for me to make the next mistake. Then he smiled wider. The store lights dimmed for half a second, like a power dip. When they came back, he was inside. I don't remember hearing the door open. I just remember seeing him standing at aisle 3, perfectly calm, holding nothing, not even pretending to shop anymore. My throat went dry. I reached under the counter for the panic button, but my fingers wouldn't move right. Like the air around me had thickened. He started walking toward me. Slow. Controlled. The same rhythm as earlier, but now every step felt intentional, like it was landing inside my thoughts instead of the floor. The intercom clicked again. This time the voice was clearer. It said my name. Jason. I never told anyone at work my full name. Not even on paperwork I handled alone. He stopped right in front of the counter, close enough that I could see his reflection in the glass, but something was wrong. His reflection lagged behind his movements by a fraction of a second. He leaned slightly forward and spoke for the first time. "You've already let me in." The lights above us flickered harder. Every blink made him appear closer than before, even when he hadn't moved. Then I noticed something behind him. The security monitors weren't showing the store anymore. They were showing me sitting behind the counter from different angles I couldn't physically see. All of them showed the same thing. I was already standing, but I wasn't moving. That's when I realized I wasn't looking at him in real time. I was watching a version of myself that had already lost. The man lifted his hand and tapped the glass once, and the sound didn't come from the door. It came from inside my head. The last thing I remember clearly is the store alarm going off on its own, followed by total silence. No buzzing lights, no hum of refrigerators, no outside world. Just him leaning closer and saying something I still hear when it's too quiet. "Now you finished the shift." When Mark came back the next morning, he said the store was empty. Cash untouched. Doors still locked. Cameras running, but with no footage after 2:37 a.m. They closed the store a week later for electrical issues. I never went back, but sometimes I still see that black sedan in places it shouldn't be parked. And sometimes when I close my eyes, I hear the intercom turning on, waiting for me to answer. It was a 24-hour convenience store on the edge of a quiet highway in Ohio. The kind of place that looks harmless in daylight, but feels like it belongs somewhere else once the sun goes down. My shift was overnight 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Mostly truck drivers, a few late-night regulars, nothing unusual. At least that's what I thought. That night started normal. My coworker Jenna Collins left at 11:05 p.m. after handing me the keys and saying, "Dead night, as usual. You'll be fine." She was wrong. Around 1:20 a.m., a man walked in. Tall, thin, wearing a dark hoodie, even though it wasn't cold. He didn't look at the shelves. Didn't even pretend to shop. He just stood near the door watching me. I asked, "Can I help you find something?" He didn't answer. Just smiled a little too slowly, like he was trying to remember how. After maybe a minute, he walked out. No purchase, no words. That should have been it. But something felt off. I checked the cameras out of habit. The outside feed showed him still standing just beyond the glass, staring straight into the store like he never left. When I looked up, he was gone. I told myself it was a glitch. At 2:10 a.m., the lights in aisle 3 flickered. Not the whole store, just that one aisle. I want to check the breaker panel in the back room. That's when I heard the first knock. Not on the door. Inside the store. 3 slow taps on metal, like someone was hitting the inside of a cooler door. I froze. Then silence. When I came back out, every single product in aisle 3 had been turned, so the labels faced the back. Perfectly aligned. Like someone had taken time to fix it. I didn't call anyone. I should have. At 3:33 a.m., the security camera feed started looping. I saw myself at the counter, even though I was standing right there watching it happen in real time. On the screen, I kept turning my head toward aisle 3. Again and again. In reality, I wasn't moving. Then the screen showed someone standing behind me. I turned instantly. Nothing there. But the air felt wrong. Heavy. Like the store had gotten smaller. That's when I heard my name. Soft. Right behind the counter. Jason. My heart dropped. I hadn't told anyone my name that night. Not a single customer. I slowly looked under the counter. Nothing. But the register drawer was open. I never opened it. Inside was a single receipt. Time stamped 3:33 a.m. Item listed. 1 hour remaining. I laughed at first, because what else are you supposed to do in a situation like that? But it didn't feel like my laugh. It came out delayed, like my body was copying something it heard somewhere else. The front door alarm beeped. Someone had entered. I didn't see them walk in. I only saw the shadow moving between the aisles, slow and deliberate, stopping exactly where I wasn't looking. The lights went dim again, and the store speaker crackled to life, playing a soft chime I'd never heard before. Then a voice came through it. Mine. Don't look at it directly. I backed into the counter, breathing too fast, scanning every aisle without focusing on anything for too long. That's when I saw the reflection in the freezer door. Not me. Someone standing right behind me, close enough that I could feel their breath in the reflection. But when I turned, nothing again. Still, I wasn't alone anymore. And whatever was in that store with me, it had stopped trying to hide. After that moment, everything changed. The store didn't feel like a workplace anymore. It felt like a trap that had already closed. The emergency lights flickered on by themselves, bathing everything in a dull red glow. Shadows stretched too far, bending into shapes that didn't match anything in the room. I kept telling myself to run, but my legs didn't move right, like I was remembering how to walk instead of actually doing it. The speaker crackled again. "Still here, Jason?" My stomach dropped. It knew I was still there. I grabbed my phone and tried calling Jenna. No signal. Tried 911. Same thing. But I could still hear faint breathing through the store intercom, like someone was listening through it. Then I heard footsteps behind the snack aisle. Slow, heavy, not rushing, not hunting, confident. I moved toward the exit, but the door wouldn't open. Not locked, just stuck, like it wasn't part of the building anymore. I pushed harder, but it felt like pushing against a wall that didn't exist a second ago. That's when I saw him again, the man from earlier, standing at the end of aisle 2. Except now I could see him clearly. His face wasn't normal. Not injured, not masked. Just wrong, like someone had tried to remember what a human face looked like and got close, but missed small details that made it unsettling. He tilted his head. "You're closing soon," he said. My voice came out cracked. "What are you talking about?" He pointed at the clock on the wall. 3:59 a.m. Then he said, "Stores like this don't stay open forever. Someone always has to stay behind." The lights went out completely. For a few seconds I couldn't see anything, not even my hands. Then the emergency glow returned, but the store was different. Longer, narrower, like the aisles stretched further than they should have. I started running, but every aisle I passed looped back into another aisle. Same products, same broken layout, no exit, just repetition. In every loop something new appeared. A customer I didn't remember letting in. A woman standing perfectly still in front of the freezer whispering to herself. A child pointing at me even though no one was with him. All of them had the same thing in common. They weren't looking at me. They were looking just slightly behind me. I finally stopped and turned slowly. Nothing was there, but I knew better now. I closed my eyes, and in the silence I heard it breathing right next to my ear. Soft, patient. Then the voice again, but not from the speaker this time. From everywhere. "You can leave when your shift ends." I don't know how long I stood there after that. Minutes or hours. Time stopped making sense. The clock kept changing, but never moving forward past 4 a.m. Eventually I just stopped resisting. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing outside. Sunlight. Empty parking lot. Store behind me normal again, like nothing happened. Jenna arrived for her shift right after. I tried telling her everything, but she just laughed nervously and said, "You fell asleep on the job or something?" But when I looked back at the store window, there was a man standing inside, watching me, smiling, wearing my uniform. I quit that day, but sometimes late at night, I still hear the store speaker crackle through random devices, and it still says my name.